Hello, I wanted to go over some hand tools that I have chosen for a situation where I would want to go and live long term in the forest. Whether a bug out situation or if I just want to go live in the woods. But this here is the tools I chose and the reasoning behind them. So whenever I put together a pack or a kit, I have a few rules that I go over in my mind to determine what I'm going to pick. So with this challenge, basically putting together a few hand tools out of thousands that you could choose that would fit my needs if I was going to live long term in the forest. This is not for a few days or whatever out there. This is if I was going to live, and this is only hand tools that I will use to build other projects and so on. First off, it had to fit on my person and in a pack. That way I can just grab and go if need be for a bug out situation. So I started with the boy's axe. And I have a custom sheath here that allows me to just throw this over my back. It's there when I need it, and so on. This is the same sheath that I used on alone because I wanted my axe accessible. This here can be a defensive weapon if need be, but it can do so much more. Splitting firewood. I've used it for cutting in underneath a tree that was dead to get firewood, being able to cut into the tree, snap out chunks where it was nice and dry. Just has many uses. Also, I can use it for pounding steaks and so on, for making shelter, collecting firewood, just many uses for a good axe. Next was a good knife. I needed a good solid knife that I trust. Very important. So I chose the Survival Bush Point. Now I designed this to be an all-around tool. It has been, and I've been using them for years. I really like these. They're sturdy, they hold up, and if you're going to choose a knife, make sure it's something that you trust and it can do what you need. There's going to be carving, there's going to be butchering, there's going to be, just many tasks. I can split wood with it if I need to, and so on and so forth. So very important to have a very good knife that you do trust, that can do many different tasks. Now I carry my Survival Bush Point on this side, so I can draw this way. That allows me that I can watch when I'm putting it back in, so it's a side draw. On this side, I carry my Bakko Laplander. This allows me to have a saw and a knife on my person at all times. This little Laplander, I've cut a lot of wood with it, and it can help, since it is small, it can help with many different projects where a small saw can come in handy. But in my pack, I'm going to show you a couple other options for saws. Now a saw is really good for a lot of projects. Also gathering firewood. There's just so much you can do with a good saw. These here are very compact. Very nice saws. This one, Resourceful Redneck. Now this one here I have used for years. Actually, this saw I used on alone. It has done me many adventures for sure. I have an extra blade that goes with this. I can set this right in the side of inside of my pack, takes up very little room, and the Boreal 21 Agua Canyon folding buck saw as well. Now this one here I've used for years, and an extra blade for that. So I've got two saws, but they can easily slip right down inside my pack right on one side. So very good choices. They're compact, fairly lightweight, but the weight is it's a very good option because it does so much that the weight doesn't matter to me. So I had mentioned that there was rules to put this kit together. What that means is what I will need to live in the wild. I will need shelter. So an axe, saws, a good knife can all help me with a shelter. Also, a nice raised bed, they will do that as well. Now I may need cordage as well, but that's something else that I will be bringing. It's not a hand tool. So an axe, a good saw, and a good knife can be very beneficial for many projects because I'll need a shelter, I'll need furniture, nice chair after a long day is very nice. So you have to think what I'm going to need. I'm also going to be making traps out there because I'm going to need to harvest food. Then you have fishing traps. You have just many ways of getting food and foraging for food. So all this has to come into play. Now, do I need a handful of nails and a hammer? I'm living in the woods, I do not need that. It could come in handy, but I'm limited. Everything that I need is in the woods if you have the skills to do so. So with a few basic tools, because like I said, there's many out there that you could choose from, but if you have the skills to work with wood, you can do a lot and actually thrive out there with just a few tools that you can fit in a backpack. That's my goal. Now, in every item that I chose, I thought of many uses that I could use. Now, a couple other blades that I chose are right here. This is the fro that I made. You can see it has the eye, but I also made this as a knife that if I lost my bush point, I still have this one that I can still carve with. I can process game. I can do a lot with this knife, even though it is a fro. Splitting wood, making shingles and such, I can use this for that. It's a 1/4-inch blade, and it was designed as a splitter, and it does very well. So this is another blade, and I'm going to show you another choice that I made for a blade. Now, a good solid knife and an axe is great for splitting, but sometimes a machete can be very handy. This here I've used for years as well. Cold steel machete. It's done me very well. If I have to take down bush really quick or clear an area, that's where this shines for sure. But it also can be a defensive weapon if need be. Now, this is, like I said, one of my choices, and I almost chose to take this on the Alone show, just because I've done so much with this blade, I trust it. That's why it's one of my choices. So that is the big tools. In here are a few more that I'm going to go down on the ground and go through. But this fits right in this bag just to keep it all together. The rest of the tools just slide down one side of my backpack, so I can still fill it with many other items. I wanted to bring a small knife as well for the smaller tasks. This here is a Mora, and it's a companion, although it has a ferro rod in the pommel. Now, I can't quite remember, it's the Spark or something, I'm not quite sure. Doesn't matter, it's a really good knife for small tasks to medium tasks. So I wanted another knife that I could use if for any reason I needed a smaller knife to make the task a little easier. Now I also brought out the Mora Garberg, just because it is a full tang knife, and this is the carbon version, and it's still, I'm able to do those small tasks, but it's heavy duty compared to the companion. So going heavy on blades, if I'm out there long term, I want to be heavy on blades, because I know how to sharpen a rock and make it work, but using a rock to do a lot of tasks, you wish you had a knife. In here is my field tool maintenance kit. It's going to be very important to be able to sharpen and keep my tools sharp. This is a polypore mushroom I use as a strop. Also, I have a leather strop in here, some stropping compound. This here are diamond stones, if you want to call them a stone. Diamond sharpeners. Here's some more polish for stropping. This here is to, it's like a light grease. It's actually pure mutton tallow. You can use this for keeping your blades from rusting and such. Also got a rasp here for different tasks, and another diamond sharpener. So this here just allows me to keep my knives and my axe sharp. I can add to it and so on, but this is what I've been using now for years, and it's all I've needed. Next is this small carving set, which can be very handy as well. You can see I have a few spoons that I carved with this, but you can do so much with small little blades like this. So it's lightweight, fairly compact. It's a must in my opinion. I only have a couple other items to carry. Like I said, I had to be decent lightweight, but I've got to be able to take what I feel comfortable about taking. Weight, it was an issue, but as long as I can pack it and I'm comfortable with it, I was happy with it. So this here is the Leatherman Wave. Now, I got this again for the Alone show. Now, my plan was to stay out there for a year, so I geared up to stay out there long term. That's how this kit is also made, to stay out long term if needed. Now this one here, of course, you have pliers, which pliers are great for untying a knot that is super tight, and you can grip it with your pliers, pulling it apart and such. You can untie knots. Many uses, as you know, for a set of pliers. But what I like about this one is that it has many features, but it has a file on it, and it also has a pair of scissors. So they can become very handy. Now I do not have in this kit, because I don't classify it as a hand tool, but I have a sewing kit as well that goes in my bug out bag. Lastly, I just had gotten this, but it can come in very handy, and that's an auger. This here, for many projects, I'll be able to use this for, and I can still sharpen it with the tools I have. So this can last a long time and make a lot of holes and help with a lot of projects. So an auger, that, like I said, has a little bit of weight to it, but it's worth the carry. Very cool. So this here is my bug out choices. 2 saws with extra blades, multiple knives that I trust, a machete, an axe, and then the few other items that can come in very handy in this bag. So that is the choices that I made for what I feel that I would need to do out in the bush. I'm out here a lot, and with those tools, I can do anything pretty much that I need to do with just those tools. So remembering what you can carry, what you can carry comfortably, and what you can do with it. Also having the skills to be able to use those tools to their utmost benefits. So I want to thank you for watching. Hope this gives people some ideas, makes people think a little bit, and also I hope you find it useful. Take care. All the best.